Hello and welcome to the podcast. My name is O'Neill. I'm your host today. And today in studio we have Devon Nation Williams. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're going to be discussing leadership
Mhm.
and what's been going on just in the world of leadership and management. And from your perspective, you have many years of experience at different levels of management
Yeah.
and I guess people leading.
Mhm.
And I just want to,
That's a new buzzword.
it is the new
People
buzzword,
leaders.
but I want to talk to you a little bit about that.
Sure.
And first thing is, first of all, what is your management style? What is your leadership style?
My management style. I think it's challenging to put it into like just one word. It definitely is a culmination of a couple of things that I've learned over my leadership career, that I've gleaned and borrowed from individuals that I found that their style was valuable. But if I was to distill it into like its most simplest parts, there's definitely an element of servant leadership. And what that means is that the people that I support and that I have reporting to me, I see them as individuals that I serve, that I'm there to support for them to do their job well. There's also the element of collaboration. So I see myself as a collaborative leader. So I do take the input and experience of others very, very, very highly into how I make decisions and how they inform the way that I do things. So I would say servant leadership, very collaborative, and I'm a humanist. So what that means is I see individuals not just as a whole that is part of this conglomerate of of what makes up a team, but as individuals that have their own desires and their wishes, things that they want to accomplish.
hmm So I do like that style of leadership.
Mhm.
I like when you use the word very humanist,
Yeah,
which is with the way things are heading or the trends that I see
yeah,
in leadership, there just seems to be a less emphasis on the human side of
human part.
things. Yeah. So which leads me to my next question in terms
Mm,
of what kind of trends are you seeing in leadership? Like,
yeah.
what are you seeing that is positive or negative?
Leadership is going through a really interesting transformation. The pendulum continues to swing from, for lack of a better word, like that micromanager of old from the traditionals that they know everything about everything. They're really, really involved. Then to the leader that's somewhat aloof, that's very high, you know, 10,000 feet up in the air, looking down and just kind of giving direction. I think what we're seeing more of now is a response how people are feeling in the workplace and how leaders can try to get more connected with individuals. However, with the pace of technology, and we have more generations in the workplace than ever before. So we have the systems from the traditionalists that kind of created the systems that we work under. We have the boomers, have the Gen Xers, the Gen Zs, Y, and the millennials. And in 10 years, we're going to have the alphas.
hmm
Never before in human history has an individual with a team have had so many individuals that they have to support or, for lack of a better word, oversee the work that they do. And the challenge of that is each generation have different value systems in general, like I'm painting with a wide brush, but different value systems as to what's really important to them. So you might have one that's like, more traditional or boomer generation, or even Gen X to some degree, because they were raised by the boomers that are more about tradition, right?
hmm
I have a job, I work in that job, and I do that thing forever and ever. Amen. And then you have the ones
Amen.
that come after. They're like, well, I want more excitement in work. I want different experiences, and I want to feel valued by the work that I do. Then you have other ones that are like, no, I'm here for a paycheck. I'm about experiences,
hmm
right? That experience can be in work or outside of it. And you have another one that's like, I'm just going to go where the value is, especially when you look at the economy and the way things are, that loyalty. And I'm not saying that's even a bad thing,
hmm
but saying that I'm going to be in this job and I'm going to grow roots isn't necessarily the same thing. So as a leader, how do I support motivating them or creating an environment that's conducive for them to feel fulfilled is where there's a challenge.
And there's so many of them.
So
And
many. Yeah, there's so many.
and you know, when you think of alpha, the Gen Z, there's just so many.
Yeah.
What are the tools or what are the skill set would a
That's
leader need in order
yeah.
to manage so many different things? And with the pendulum swinging in terms of management styles,
Mhm.
there's just so much that a leader has to juggle and
Yeah.
figure out.
So before, when you could like really rely on the tool of consensus, that's more challenging now because the consensus isn't uniform. You don't have the same. You're not managing the same 2, 3 generations.
Right.
It's much broader, and also you're having people with different walks of life and different experiences from different places that are in the workforce, because now people are more opt and mobile to work in between organizations, departments, divisions. You know, now that it's mobile, maybe you have somebody on your team that's in another country,
Hmm.
right? How do you um, gather consensus
Hmm.
if you're a collaborative leader like myself, which is challenging? So it's really about listening to each individual, which is a lot of work, and really valuing what they have to say. And then you, as the leader, have to say, okay, what's the line of best fit?
Right.
I have all of these dots on this, on this graph. And what's the line of best fit that supports as many people as possible? Not everyone's always going to be happy. And as a leader, you have to be okay with that, as long as you can explain and provide the vision and support that vision.
So gone are the days of just I am the boss. This is what I say.
No, I think some people have that style. I
But
don't
is
know.
it
I don't
effective
know how well
still?
they do.
Right.
I don't think anybody should get into leadership to be liked. Okay. If you're getting into leadership because you want everybody to like you, I got some land to sell you on
On
right?
Mars.
On Mars, right? Um, I think what you have to be satisfied with, if that's your style, is how engaged are you going to be with your people? If you're okay with being really disengaged, but maybe getting the job done and hitting your deadlines and hitting targets, that's fine. But how many of those people are going to be around and for a while? Because we all know the old term: people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. So if your style is conducive to that, then make sure that you're on a team that values that kind of style. I think for a leader to be really, really effective, just in my opinion, you do have to be somewhat of a chameleon. That doesn't mean that you change who you are or the essence of who you are as an individual. But what it means is that you're malleable enough to cater to the needs of your team to make them effective. I always think of it like you're tending a garden, right? So, how are you creating an environment that things can grow? And that growth output is people that want to hang around, they want to stay, that they do good work, that they have fulfillment in their work. Um, and for some, that might sound really hokey and really like la di da, but what it means is they'll stay around and then they'll become experts. And what that means is you're not having to work as hard as the leader because your team is really, really efficient. So it's really creating the soil for things to grow. I think has longevity for a leader.
Well, when you say becoming experts,
Mm-hmm.
so based on your style, I
Yeah.
assume that delegating is something that
Yeah.
you definitely
Yeah.
incorporate. It's not everything has to come through me.
No.
Everything has to be done by me. You need my stamp of approval,
Mm-hmm.
but that you do delegate.
Yeah. So I'm one person,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I might be on a leadership team,
Mhm.
but if um, my assignment or my team or my portfolio, whatever you want to call it, is in this realm, right? And I have individuals that are experts within that realm, or they're becoming experts within that realm. Why should I busy myself with knowing all of the nitty gritty of the things that they do? I have to be able to trust that they're doing their work well. If they're not, that's going to come to light, and we're going to have those performance reviews. And I'd like to think that I'm plugged in enough that if there's support that's needed, that I'm there to help facilitate that. But micromanaging all of the work that they do or having them report everything back to me defeats the purpose of growing that environment that's conducive for their growth,
Mm.
right? I have to support their growth in their work, which eventually will get them to that expert status. And maybe
Mm.
they'll stay, or maybe they transition to another role. Maybe they'll leave. I
Hmm.
don't know. But at the end of the day, if they're fulfilled in their work, hopefully they hang around as.
And I think it's important to also stay with the leadership style is when you talk about empowering others and them becoming experts and helping them grow.
Yeah.
I think as a leader, there's a level of security that you need. You must be
Mhm.
secured in what you're doing that you don't feel threatened, because
No.
I think that would defeat
Yeah.
the purpose. And there are leaders out there that, if people are, they know as much as they
Yeah.
do, they
That threatens
find
your
it
leadership.
threatens their
So
leadership.
I'm a huge proponent of giving people their flowers while they're still here. And what I mean by that is, then, not to get too morbid, but when you have somebody you really care about and you go to their funeral, and then everybody says all these really nice, amazing things
Yes.
about them and who they were. I don't believe in waiting until they're gone to do that. So if I'm giving you your flowers while you're on my team, then why would I be upset if you do well? Right? That kind of that's counterproductive. So that exercise of recognition and valuing somebody has a direct inverse response of them wanting to do well and wanting them to essentially do more, not because they're thirsting for your value, for your value statements, but because they feel valued. There is a direct relationship with how somebody feels at work with their output, and do they show up, the amount of time that they're sick, meeting outcomes, meeting deadlines, but also at the same time telling you when they need help.
Hmm.
If you're a supportive, collaborative leader, the people that are on your team are less inclined to not tell you what's going on. They
Right.
will tell you what's going on. They'll be honest with you. They'll say, if you want this, this is what I need. I want that. I want them to give them what they need for them to be able to do the job that they have to do, that we as the organization want to accomplish, right? So when somebody does really well, I'm going to be the first person to say, that was a really great job. Thank you. In a way that they're comfortable, right? Not everybody wants it in front of their whole team, but they're definitely going to get like a personal message, or when we see we're going to have a conversation, and our conversations are not limited to just work, right? I want to know how you're doing. I want to know how things are, as long as you're comfortable. I'm not your therapist, but at the same time, if something's going on in your life, you need support. We have systems in place to help you. And once you have that rapport, you're going to have somebody that actually wants to show up on Monday.
When you talk about rapport, the first thing that comes to mind is relationship,
Yep.
a professional
Professional
relationship.
relationship. Yep.
I know that we've talked before in the
Yeah.
past, and when we talk about relationship, it's not being IG friends
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Facebook buddies.
Yeah.
It might be in
It
some
might
cases,
happen.
but that's not the goal of that. It's
No.
really developing a relationship,
Hmm.
and that takes time.
Yeah. You can't force it, and it has to be rooted in authenticity. So people are going to mirror um, how you treat them in the best of scenarios, hopefully, right?
Hmm. I like
Always
that.
right. So if I'm really authentic and I'm open and I'm honest, there's a more likelihood that that's going to be reciprocal.
Mm.
That exchange naturally builds rapport. That's just human nature. Now, if we develop a good professional relationship, that then translates to trust. That then translates to protection. Okay, the bond's going to cover me when I need help. He's also going to hold me accountable because he's accountable. He's also going to tell me the truth because I tell him the truth. So this reciprocity becomes like this never-ending ping pong match where it just comes back and forth, and we can be in sync. Now, going back to the team structure, that can be challenging, right? Because not everybody is in sync with each other. But if you can do your best to connect with individuals, then the connection with the larger majority can definitely grow.
Well, that's amazing. I think in those environments, it does foster growth.
Yeah,
It fosters respect for each other, and it really fosters a team
yeah,
atmosphere or environment.
yeah,
And I think, in my opinion, and you may agree, is that those are the type of environments where things are more efficient. Things do
yeah,
get done,
yeah,
um, compared to other environments where it might be a little bit more rigid.
yeah. Things get done because everybody wants to see everybody else succeed.
Hmm. You
So,
used to have a saying for that. Conspiracy. What was it?
oh, when you're conspiring for the success of the people that aren't in the room. So, what I mean by that is, we all know what a conspiracy is. You know, you're plotting. If I'm
Mhm.
plotting for your success,
Mm,
whether you're here or not,
powerful.
so I'm setting you up for success. Again, people are going to mirror that. Now, they might not have the same responsibility or obligation to do that as a team leader, but if somebody's not at 100%, they're going to mirror, hopefully, the way that they see me work for them and say, I got it. I'll help that person out. And going back to that reciprocity, they know that they're going to be supported. And it's not about if it happens, it's when. All have seasons or moments when we need help, when our work, whether it be professional or personal. And when you know that your team has you, when they got you, um, just have a team that and when they get to that level where they're just like humming and you can kind of just step back and be like, you guys even need me? That's when you know you're a really good leader.
Right.
Like if you had to step away or be away for a while or something, deal with another project, you leave your team
Hmm.
and you know things are going to happen without you, that's when you know you've done it. So going back to when you said like if somebody feels negatively if somebody else is shining on your team, to me that's a weakness. I want you to shine when I'm not around.
Hmm.
I want you to do well when I'm not around because what it means is I've done what I'm supposed to do, right? Yeah.
I know you've like, just to add on to that, I know that you've mentored and coached many individuals
Mhm.
to move forward,
Yeah.
and even do some of the positions
Mhm.
that you're in currently. And so, what I'd like to know from you is are the what do you tell someone that wants to be in a position that you're in, where they
Yeah.
have the ability and been afforded the opportunity to lead a group of individuals?
Yeah.
What do you tell them that they need to be aware of?
Mhm.
What do they need to be mindful to be
Sure.
successful in the position? And how do you prepare yourself for that position? Because I think,
Mm.
there's, well, I'll let you answer that first,
Yeah,
because
it's a
there's a
big
second
question.
part to it that I wanted to ask in regards to, you know, to be seen or not to be seen. And
Mhm.
how do you move forward if you're not seen,
Sure.
but doing the work? But go ahead.
So my first thing is I would ask somebody, or I have asked, why do you want to get into leadership?
Hmm.
I ask them why first. And there are many motivators. Not one is better or more altruistic than the other. Some people might just say it's the money, right? I want an increase in pay, and leadership is where it's at. That's fine.
Hmm.
Others might
Money,
say,
money.
yeah, I like money, right?
Hmm.
The other one might be they have a vested interest in the success of that team, organization,
Mm.
place, and they want to be at that table to help support that success. Another one might want to be they want to see some change, and they know that when they're in that space, they will be able to affect change, and that's going to then adjust how I support them in what their motivations are. If it's just about the money, that's fine. But I'm going to remind that person that they have a responsibility to the team. And are they ready for that responsibility?
That's a
Okay.
good point. Yep.
If it's somebody that has a vested interest in the organization and they want to see it keep going and all that, I'm gonna be like, that's great. You're going to lose some friends. So the same investment that you have in the people that you're with, you're going to now be at a different table. And leadership, the higher you get, the lonelier it is. Are you ready for that? And for the individual that wants to see systemic change, I'm going to ask them, how patient are you?
Mm. That's good.
Because if you think you're going to come in and just kick the legs out of the table and change things, that's not going to work for you. So it's really about getting, and I just use those three examples,
Those are
but
good
it's really
examples. Yeah.
getting at what's that person's motivation. And then once we get past that, it's sharing what the realities are because I'm pretty open. And the reality is one of the things I've already talked about is the higher you get, it gets a little more lonely. Of course, your network has changed and expands, but your priorities are now changed, right? And you have to come to peace with that. And especially if you're like been on the same team for a really long time, you've had this tight group of friends or colleagues or whatever, and now maybe they report to you or you're going to another team or location,
Hmm.
whatever the case may be, those relationships are going to change, and are you ready for that?
Hmm.
The other thing is when you're in leadership, And if you're, and not all of us are at the top, right? We all have a vision that we're given, mission that we're given, and how do we carry that out through the vision? Are you like able to toe the line sometimes?
Mm.
Are you going to be able to say, okay?
Speak.
Are you going to be able to say, okay, I am my full authentic self. I have my own ideas, but guess what? This is the direction the organization is going in. Am I able to carry that through effectively? Disagree where I disagree, but at the same time, voice that, offer solutions to why I feel that way or why we think that way, but still support people. When you're in leadership, you can't just pick up your ball and go home. You got to play the game all the time. So if you're not ready for that, don't get into leadership, because sometimes you're going to be asked to do things you don't necessarily agree with, as long as it's not unethical, right? Like, obviously, I'm talking about just maybe directions or processes or things that you think could be done a different way. How can you be authentic in that moment and give your advice, give your expertise to potentially sway it or work within it, and also accept you might not be right. That might be the right direction, right? You might be wrong. So it's really navigating that thing and being really reflective and reflexive with the way things are in the work environment in that role. It takes time.
That's so important, being reflective.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you look at yourself and be like, okay, who am I being right now in this
Hmm.
moment?
Hmm.
Is this about us or everybody? Like, I think about, the word me. Is it about me? And I'll flip it upside down. Let's flip that M. Or is it about we? Is it me or we that we're talking about right now? Right? You like that one?
That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
you
That was
like
really
that. You
good.
like that. Okay.
I like that. And
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, we're laughing, but
Yeah.
that's a really good point, and something to remind us about. Is it me or we? There are so many times that I would say, you know, is it what's right or who's right? Like sometimes you have to stop and say, does it really matter if I'm right or who's the right person, or are we
Well,
doing what is right?
one thing that, that I know about you is, we're going to distill all that down, is say humble, right?
Yep.
So checking yourself in that moment, being like, okay, do I need to humble myself in this moment right now and take this direction and move through it? Or is there another pathway that we can go through in a humble, respectful way to get to where we need to be as an organization, a team, whatever the case may
Hmm.
be? Yeah.
So, in regards to staff that you like to,
Yeah.
because we often we talk about as a leader, the things that you would have to do to accommodate staff
Hmm.
and your resources. But on the flip side, what would you prefer in a staff member that you are leading? What do you
Mm.
want from them? And I know you touched a little bit
Yeah.
about it at the beginning, but what do you want to see in an individual that you're leading?
I think I'll premise it with, I love leading a diverse team. I really appreciate people with very differing and different skill sets that can complement each other. Like, my job is to support them to complement each other. I don't want just one type of person. The characteristics that I'll say that make somebody most successful that I work with very well is somebody that has curiosity. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is, if there's a direction or a pathway, it's not just yes, I'll do it, or no, I won't. It's okay, tell me more. How can I make that better? Have we thought about this? What if this happens? Right? Somebody that approaches things with curiosity tends to be very creative. I'm a creative person. So that really is something that I think, regardless if it's in finance or people management or processing or whatever the case may be, delegating with curiosity means that you're able to connect people to the skill sets and also let them go outside of that if they want to grow, right? I also like people, and this might be connected with curiosity, but are like solution focused. They don't just come to me with problems, right? I don't think that a leader should be just there to solve everybody's problems. That's going to happen sometimes because you're in that role. However, come to me with solutions so that we can discuss them, right? So if
Hmm.
there's an issue, it's like, hey, this happened. My first question always is, what do you think we should do? Because you come with me the problem, you thought about it. And on your way here, you already are formulating a solution. That's just human nature.
Hmm.
So I always give people that agency to say, "What do you think?" And I also do like decisive people. I like people that can make a decision.
Does it have to
Um,
be quick?
it doesn't always have to be quick, but that they know how to make a decision
Right.
and own it. And the last part is accountability.
Mm.
I don't care if you make a mistake. I really don't. Um, I care if you own up to it, and then come with the solution and be curious about how to solve it and not do it again. Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you might because the scenarios change. But I would say curiosity, somebody that is and positive, obviously somebody that's generally positive.
Oh, you don't
But
want a negative person?
well, you're gonna have people
Someone
with,
being on your case all
you
day,
know, oh
24/7?
man, being on your case all day, 24/7. But and also just have some levity, right? Like at the end of the day, we spend so much time at this place called work,
Hmm.
whether it's virtual, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's hybrid, the function of working. Spend so much time there. Let's try, if we can, to have a little bit of fun and have some kind of connection with humans we share that time with. That's really important to me. Yeah.
Well, I do have a couple more questions,
Okay.
but I'm wondering, maybe I need a part two to this.
Maybe, man. I'll come back.
Um, because I wanted to explore a little bit more about AI, which is a hot topic, and
Sure.
AI
We can
and
touch on it a little
leadership.
bit if you want to.
So, as a leader,
Hmm.
you're seeing a lot of trends, a lot
Yeah.
of things that are happening. And a question I have is AI.
Yeah.
How is AI shaping leadership, or is there an impact on leadership?
Yeah.
How does that fit? Like, it's a tool, I know it's technology, but how does that impact leadership?
So technology in general has increased and amplified the pace in which we're expected to provide output. What I mean by that is, even as short as 5 years ago, before the meetings were in person. Of course, virtual meetings existed, but for the industry that I'm in human services and things like that, we met in person. We scheduled a place, we met there,
Hmm.
and
The good old days.
the good old days. And maybe that meeting took up some time, and then you scheduled the next one, and then you would meet a couple days, and in the in between, you'd connect. Obviously, you still had email, but that was the cadence. Now, the cadence has been amplified to a point where individuals are seen as their output, to the point where I might have 3 meetings back to back, right? Virtual meetings, and then have another 3 back to back. And then in between that, I'm messaging, I'm emailing, I'm right because now I have more than one screen in front of me.
No
I've got,
rest for the
I mean,
wicked.
I have 3 screens now,
Of course you
and I
do.
really can't. Yeah, and I don't know how I ever functioned on one because the rate of multitasking is such an expectation. So now you introduce AI that supports that multitasking function, right? So I've had 3 meetings in the morning, and I got to send out some correspondence to my team leads to let them know what to do. I've taken some notes during the times that I've talked and I've been in these meetings, and then I drop that into something like Chat GPT or Copilot, and I'll say, summarize these notes for an audience of team leads, emphasizing A, B, or C, make it in a professional manner, go. And it'll come back and it'll be concise, and I send it. What does that do to me? What it means now is I'm resetting the expectation that
Mm.
not only can I be in 6 meetings in a day, but I can also respond out and communicate effectively, which is great. The organization is like, yes, do that. That's amazing. That's fine. But what are the pressures on the leader as of that? And I'm just using that example in like simple form. The benefits are definitely there. Support, say I have a policy or something that I'm reviewing, and I can use that generative AI to help summarize or detail information that I need to communicate or to pull out information that I'm looking for. But what it can do is build a reliance on it. And you just have to be cautious and careful that you're not losing the ability to think. That's just me. That's how I feel about it. Um, when you're in conversations with people and they're just like, "That's okay, I'll just drop it in the co-pilot. It will figure it out." That's dangerous because where are you, right? Because I work with you, I don't work with the AI. So I think we have to continue to look at it as a tool, support the work that we do, and not the other way around, right? A tool that's going to take the work that we do, because that's not how I think we should be using it. Make sense?
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on and on about AI
We
and
could, man.
just the impact that it's having on in the work environment, but
Yeah.
on leadership particularly.
Yeah.
There's this whole balance of the soft skills and that leader about building
You
relationship.
know, you
And can AI?
so you bring up something really good.
Mhm.
Sorry to cut you, but when you
No,
talk
that's fine.
about soft skills, so say you're really good at soft skills.
Mm,
That's your thing. And I will say, and I say it all the time, soft skills are hard,
mm,
right? Because you have to really connect with people. But say you're just not that analytical mind, it's not your forte. The beautiful thing about AI is it can take that piece for you.
mhm,
That doesn't require a ton of finesse, just some knowledge on what kind of prompts to use
mhm,
and for it to be very specific. So, say you give it a report and you're like, I need you to articulate what this means, or take this information and tell me what this trend looks like. Speculate on what this might mean on A, B, and C. And then, as a soft skill person, you can communicate that.
right.
And it's taken not that burden, but that task away for you to continue to exercise the things that you're good at. But at the same time, you're growing because now you're tapping into the analytical side of the work. So as long as you're really careful, cautious, and intentional with how you use AI, careful, cautious, and intentional, I think it's a great tool. But you just don't want to run the risk of stopping to think. Like, the pace of everything sometimes, like, you finish a day at work. What did I do today?
Right.
Because you did so many things, right?
Yeah.
And having to go back and remember and be accountable for the things that you've done um, can run away from you when you're doing too many things, when you have too many things in the air.
Mhm.
And that's what all this technology and these tools can do. They can make you feel like you can do it all, but there's still only one you, right? There's only one you. And if the tool makes you think that you're a superhuman, that you can do it all, that's a problem. I'm guilty of it, right? We could do a whole other conversation about having too much access. People having too
Mhm.
much access to you can also be an issue.
And that kind of leads to the next question that I have, because
Yeah.
earlier I said, what is the cost of
Mm,
being a leader?
yeah.
And you did mention, the higher you go, the more lonely it is.
Yeah.
But there are also all these things that you're mentioning.
Yeah. You can, depending on the pressures and the stress and how much you like, love, or whatever your work, you can lose yourself
Hmm.
as being a leader, right? Especially if you're a servant leader, right? If you're so busy serving everybody else, you can
When you're
forget to
serving
serve
me, there
yourself.
you go. Hmm.
So, when you get on a plane and they go through the whole spiel about what you should do in an emergency, and they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Yes.
If you're a servant leader, you can forget to do that. And you can be choking yourself out, making sure everybody else is okay. Does that make sense? You like that one?
Bars. Yes.
Bars.
Hmm.
So I think making sure that the cost isn't to you,
Right.
that you're not burning yourself out, that you have that work life contrast. I say work life contrast instead of work life balance. I don't want to balance my work with my other work. I want to contrast it. So if I'm sitting all day,
You just got all the words
all the
today. Go
bars.
ahead.
So if I'm sitting all day, then I should be moving more in the. If I've really been entrenched in something really, really serious all day, I should do something light later.
Wow,
right?
this is good.
You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
that requires
Contrast.
intention
Mhm.
and not motivation, because motivation doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Discipline. You wait to be motivated to something for something, you might be waiting forever. And what that means is treating yourself like you would treat the others on your team. If you're like again, use myself as an example, servant leader, how am I serving myself so that I can continue to serve others? Otherwise, I'm just going to be a dried up husk eventually. I'm going to have nothing left to give,
Wow.
right? And once those signs start creeping in, fatigue, or if I feel agitated, going back to what we talked about, being reflective and reflexive is like,
Mm.
oh, what am I doing?
Right.
Did I eat lunch today? Did I prepare myself? Like, did I prepare lunch yesterday to make sure that I ate today?
Mm.
Right. So making sure that you continue to do yourself. It's not selfish. It's important how you stay resilient.
I really like that concept about contrast and not work life balance.
Yeah.
That's really good. Hmm. Okay, well, I guess the final, question that I have in
Yeah.
regards to leadership and moving forward. I mean, you've given some great advice for individuals that are looking to get into
Hmm.
the area of leadership and what does that mean. There's one part that some people struggle with, and that is about being seen as a leader or
Mm.
just doing the job and doing it well,
Right.
but doing it quietly.
Okay.
There's always this debate of, well, you want to make sure people see you in the right places, or that, that you're always heard, or that you're vocal.
Yeah.
And there's this other thing where some people just go about their business,
Yeah.
and by doing their business, they're efficient, everything is fine,
Hmm.
but you don't really hear them in front or see them in front of the crowd or
Yeah.
hear them talking about themselves or things like that. What would be your advice for someone who struggles with that?
Yeah.
Because some people may be great leaders, they just might be a little bit more quiet about it or
Yeah.
just prefer being behind the scenes. But then there are
Mhm.
those that they also would be great leaders, but they are comfortable being in front.
I go back again to, what's your motivator? Are you being a leader to be seen? If that's what why you're being a leader, that's going to have a real large impact on your style, projects that you take up, the individuals you socialize with, and that can affect your authenticity. If you're doing things to be seen, then you
Performative.
are serving yourself as a leader. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you're doing a good job as a leader and I like to say patient, but you're just cognizant that sometimes things take time, you're going to get to where you want to be if you put the work in. I like to think that. I like to believe that. Now, sometimes it might mean that you don't always have to put your hand up first. Sometimes it's knowing where your skill set is needed at the time. Other times it's knowing when to fall back and support somebody else. And when the time is right, or when an opportunity presents itself, or when you make your own lane for something because you're innovative and you see something, you take an opportunity, that you grasp that opportunity, right? So my advice for somebody that is struggling with their place, whether their place is in the front or more behind the scenes or in the back, is focus on, is the work that you're doing, is the work that you're doing effective, and who is it serving?
Mhm.
Some work and this doesn't apply to all things, because some jobs, it is very self-serving and it is very competitive. And that is the way that you're seen and the way that you move up. But I would imagine if that's where you are, that's the culture you're in, that's the personality that you have, that's going to be fine. And there's a spectrum of it. I think the simple answer is, again, is what's motivating you to be in that role? And are you being true to yourself?
Mhm.
Or are you trying to fit the standard of what you should be doing? Like, are you shoulding on yourself? Are you letting other people should on you, for like lack of a better word? Like, because if you're shoulding on yourself, then you're not being authentic, right? You're trying to live up to this ideology that you didn't construct. Somebody else constructed, and you're trying to play a part, play a role, right? So yeah.
Sorry, I just Started coughing like crazy. What's
Go
going on?
ahead.
And something that I tell people all the time. At the end of the day, whatever you're tasked to do or whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
You might
whatever
get an
you
assignment
do,
you don't like.
whatever you do,
Yeah.
and you're efficient at it and you do well, people do recognize that and do
Mhm.
see that and know that, whatever task we're giving
Yeah.
this individual, they do get it done.
And
So I think
regardless
that's
if it's
important.
a task you like or don't like, the same eyes watching you. So if you tend to excel and do really great at the things you like, but not so much at the things you don't, what am I telling the viewer?
Mm,
The guy's inconsistent. He's not consistent. They don't care if you like what you're doing. Your organization doesn't always care. That's up to the people leader to help you get to be motivated or consistent to
mhm.
do that thing. But those that are the decision makers that can say, hey, I need you for this task, or when you applied for that role, they're the ones making the decision on whether you get it or not, or your evaluator. If you're too busy in trying to get the bright, shiny thing and only doing well at those, and then the other things you just kind of like phone it in, then you're portraying yourself as being inconsistent or not a team player or self-serving, or the list goes on and on. So I think it's really about understanding that when you're given a task, given an assignment, something to do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
You're getting the same pay anyway.
Same pay.
You're getting the same pay anyway. You might as well do a good job.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end. There's so much more questions that I have to ask,
Yeah.
but we'll save that for another time.
Sounds good.
I know that we have our own podcast where we
Mhm.
talk about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So
Some ideas that while we're
yeah,
thinking. Yeah.
so definitely there'll be opportunities if people want to tune in and hear more about, our perspective on leadership. That will be coming out shortly. So I just want to thank you for being a guest today
Always, man.
and, bearing with me through my cough. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I drank everything
It's
that
the
was
season.
here.
It's the
So
season.
I don't know. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. And I'm sure a lot of people got some great information. I know I did in regards to leadership and preparing for that and what it looks like if you're really serious about doing it. So
Just touch the surface.
yeah. So thanks for coming on. All right. Take care.